anyone that was watching some of the videos on me stripping down this spares diesel pump will probably remember me saying that I want to fit this onto the back of my own pump, because someone was messing with this side of it before I owned the tractor, and this isn't worn at all. And I also want to fit this inspection cover onto the pump because it has this plate on it there, and you can actually read the text, whereas mine has some, I don't know, diesel shop number etched onto it there, like 3609 I see is written on it, so, and it's all shop blasted off it. So we're just trying to, I'd say, we'll call it just improve our own pump. And out of interest, if you were watching the 1954 20 diesel Ferguson that I was working on before Christmas, there's a playlist of all the work I did in that. We had to adjust this excess fuel or maximum fuel button on that particular engine because someone was messing with it. And if you look at this one that came off that pump, it has the copper wire still on it, and I would say that was put on in the factory. It's very neatly done. Can't imagine a diesel pump shop putting it on that neat. So what I might do is, I've just got the vernier calipers and I've measured how far down that little pin is, and I remember setting the one on that tractor I was working with, the 16 mil, because you can adjust all that in there. You're not meant to, but in that case I had to. And I know my own one is set about 16. This is actually set at 17 mil. So I suppose an interesting comparison would be to put this on my own tractor and to give it a start and see is it any better at starting. The fact that it's 1 millimeter sticking towards this way means it's not going to give the same amount of diesel to the engine, because that's pushing it in the stop position, into the stop direction, we'll say, pushing the rack back. But it would be interesting to see how it starts with it. But for today's video, I just want to focus on getting the diaphragm housing onto the back of the pump on my tractor and see if we can manage that without any issues. So what I'll do is I'll bring the camera back, we'll give it a cold start. The last time it was started was about 10 or 12 days ago, so it's not cold in here. So we'll just bring it down into the light, and we'll see about getting some of them parts off. I'm not going to use any heat at all on the engine, just turn it over. There we go, always a good start for that one. Right. Okay, plenty of light here on the job. The trick in this shed is to try and get it just one-sided lights, and they do seem to shine down a little bit better. So we're going to bring over a few tools and we'll get a look at what we have to do. So I have the other side of this pipe loosened off there. That's the first thing you have to do, because you'll not move that housing if that is held on. Simple as that. So we'll get, I think it's a 3/4 on this side here, and it's not a 3/4 originally. I think it's a bit 13/16 or something like that. So to get this is a very, these aftermarket parts are really, the pipe is really stiff. So if I'm loosening the other side over on the intake, it's the best idea to do that first, and then take this pipe off there and move it out of the way altogether if you can, poke it through. Right, so next job we can do is, I think is better off taking off the actual rear of the housing of the diaphragm housing. So I would imagine a short stubby flathead screwdriver's job there. If you looked at the video on the diesel pump there up on the bench that we did and stripped down a bit, you'll see that these two particular bolts needed a kind of an impact driver to get them out. They were beyond seized. So I don't like this. I don't like that split pin and that rubber thing there. You know, there's a bit of wear in it there. It's not too bad. I've seen far worse, but I'm trying to slowly undo the butchering and bodging jobs that was done in this over the years. There's another issue there where they shot blasted all the text off that information kind of plaque there, and service kind of information, and they kind of etched on 3670. Would have been some diesel shop, some diesel pump specialists doing, I'd say. And then we have to screw this slad off here. I find this is fairly well attached to this. We are going to have to get it off that at some point, but for now I'm just going to slowly screw it off with the snouty pliers here. I think it'll take a little minute or two. It's handy having these adjustable because the other end just spins, so it's really good to have these adjustable, because you have to adjust. These are designed to make your tick over level, so it's worth taking the time to free them up if they're not free on both ends. So that's slowly spinning off there. Nearly there. There we are. These can be a pig to get off, so I like to work on them in the bench. Okay, next part is this. So what I use is 1/4 inch socket, and I use a flat head on it because we're going to need, these shouldn't be too bad, but some of them need a fair ability to loosen it. They're grand. It's just the inside ones are a little bit awkward. There's a big spring in here as well. Okay, so that's on dinner. Dinner time bell is being summoned, is being rung. But we'll just loosen off these other two here, and then we'll hopefully be able to get a screwdriver in. And just a little bit awkward, but it's handy when you get the back of the pump off there, the back of that. I'm thinking, what's the proper word for it? Is it a dampener or anti-surge or something along those lines, I think. Now, the engines that don't have a lift pump, it's a lot easier to get in there when you don't have a lift pump. When you have a lift pump, it just makes it a little bit more awkward. I'll try and get in with a screwdriver from further back. I know these shouldn't be too tight. I don't normally have them that tight. It's important, I suppose, to check them regularly enough, because they all seem a lot looser than I thought they'd be. So it's just that inside one there is a little bit awkward with the lift pump. It's kind of going at an angle. But we took these out many times before for various different reasons, and every time we always made sure to grease them up, and it just makes life a lot easier. Now when I loosen off the last one of these, this should push back with a big spring inside, and that's keeping your rack push forward into your pull to stop, into your maximum fuel, I should say, position. I probably should have left one of the bolts in the front to be the last to take out, rather than one in the back, but it's okay. The treads are so good on this anyway. It'll all come out nice and easy. Feel the pressure of the spring on it there. Let it back. This part was damaged as well when I was bringing the engine back from getting done up. It just rubbed against the trailer a bit there. So look, we have a better part for fitting. So we'll get a cloth, and I'm just going to show you down there what is going on. You've probably seen it before in many other videos of mine and on the internet in general. But we have our diaphragm in there. There's our diaphragm. So that is what we're looking to change. We're looking to change that, and we're going to go and change the maximum fuel on that as well. That should be basically hand tight there anyway. Okay, mighty stuff. Popped over that bit of the throttle rod there, the end onto the new part. Took it off that. So I've just got to figure out, I'm just going to give this a bit of a wiggle, because if it comes off easy, it could come off when the engine's running or when you're working the throttle, and that's not good. Whereas this lad here, the ball joint type lad there, he's not very worn, and I do have a few spare ones, so I just want to make sure that it fits in well. There is a spring in there that's pushing that up the cup, up under, all around it, so you know, they usually are fine and all that, but just to be sure. The part we're going to fit in there, the diaphragm housing, I just put a bit of that Loctite grease around it there. You don't have to go crazy, there's no gasket needed or anything. I did make a gasket for one of these before, but I don't think there's any needed. Kind of a wedgy, kind of a cone shape there that kind of seals itself. So that's ready for fitting, and we have our 4 bolts there. We have 4 more as well from the old housing there on the ground. So I picked out the best 4, the best slots, and we're ready to fit that in there with the big spring that goes in there, pushing up against the diaphragm. And you fit the spring just in around there, make sure it's centralized, and that is job oxo. A good thing to do as well is this lad here, give him a bit of a grease, because as I said before, you have to be able to adjust the length of that rod so that it works that anti-dampener. So a little bit of anti-seize on it there, or normal grease, anything at all. I find that stuff is awful handy. And then I was going to fit the housing on the back of the pump, but then, being honest, because I like screwing on the piece we're going fitting, we fitted that on there. Because I like screwing that on first, you have more space without the housing. So we'll get that screwed on, and then we'll fit the diaphragm housing. I think that's the best order, because when that piece there is screwed on there, it kind of goes out of the way, and then you can get the other one in grand and handy and bolt it up, and then fit that on the end with the two longer bolts. With that in mind, you want to make sure that this is in the forward position. You don't want to be fitting like that, and that has to be facing backwards. And you grab this, get the threads in and give it a spin, and once you have a few spins of threads in, you're good to go, you're safe. So it's something that can do with a dart of oil in on the other end that you can't see there because it just spins. So it can do with a dart of oil every now and again, just to keep it spinning. Because if you can get it spinning by hand, it's a lot easier. There's not a whole lot of space to get the pliers in there, like so, to spin it. So, because it's normally fitted out there. It takes a while to spin it. Any damage and all that. So that can hang out of the way. And then we get our governor diaphragm housing, line up the spring right in the middle, push it in, and if possible I try to at least get one in the back first. A little bit more awkward, but it's easier to get the top on. Get him spinning in there a little bit, and I'll rat it. A bit of grease. You can put a bit of grease all around, actually. You can put a bit of grease all around that there, just to help with the sealing and all of that, keep the moisture out. Grease never does damage. It'll all help with the sealing. Remember, we do rely on a vacuum in here. These engines are not nice when that vacuum all of a sudden vacates the premises. The engine will rev up to serious revs, especially if the maximum fuel button is pressed. It'll go crazy high. So these are really nice black metal bolt, really high quality. So They do kind of get very dry though. That's the only thing if they're left sitting, as we found out when we were taking that diesel pump apart. The impact was needed on these, on that other pump as well. So it won't be a problem with these because we have had these off a good few times on this tractor now for various different reasons. So keep him up there so he doesn't get caught. And get that bottom screw in. A few turns and that'll keep everything nice and steady first. And then we can get our screwdriver. So I suppose get the most awkward one done first. I don't think awkwardest is a word, so we'll say most awkward. And Countess QT, the most awkward one done first in the back there. If you can get a few spins on that, it'll make life easier. While you have this part off, it's always easier to do that. Lovely quality parts. This, as I said, isn't damaged like the one that was on it. It was only visual, it was only cosmetic really, but still, if we can improve things when we're going along, we will. It's a little bit awkward spinning in the inside ones because the screwdriver simply does not go in straight. So we get them a certain amount of the way and we'll hit it then with the ratchet. Again, tractors without a lift pump, the earlier engines, 1950 up to 1954, didn't have the lift pump, and you have a lot more access in there for these bolts. So that's that in a little bit there anyway, so we can finish it off then with the ratchet, just to get a nice pinch on them. Because it is important that these are snug and that it's pulled fairly level as well, because we're relying on it to make a seal without really, you know, any rubber seals or gaskets or cork or anything like that. So it's a pity they didn't use bolt heads on them, you know, that would make life easier. But they're lovely and neat the way they are. They're countersunk screw bolts. Keep a good bit of pressure on the flathead so that it stays where it is and it doesn't damage the flathead by slipping out. There's the bottom one now, and we're done. So a bit of pressure. Just a little bit awkward. The beauty of using these flathead lads is you can pick the one that you need that suits and you put it in, and that goes in there. We've plenty of grease put in there already, plenty of grease put on the plunger itself, but you can never have enough. Some people actually, if these are worn, will fill that completely full of grease, and it kind of stops it then from drawing air. And you line it up on its little kind of dowel there, and in she goes. These were very hard to get off now, in fairness. The impact was needed, and when it came out there was a real dry kind of a dusty powder on them, and yeah, it was hard going now, but we got them there. So a bit of anti-seize on them there. We'll sort them out. And we should have a stubby screwdriver there. The only thing we have to do after this is set the damper in there to keep the tick over nice and level, because it will hunt, it'll go up and down otherwise. That's all that does. When you actually rev the engine, it goes forward and that cam drops out of the way. When you let back the throttle, it'll put that into motion, put it into work, and that's when it dampens. So that's where you do your adjustment. So after that, you just put on your air pipe. Very important not to start the engine with that pipe off, because I can tell you one thing, it'll rev. Done it before, and I made the mistake of I've made the mistake of having the maximum fuel button push as well, and I can tell you one thing, it revved. And I also made the mistake, because after I got a diesel pump done, I didn't have the pull to stop lever attached, and I had to try and reach down in there and stop the engine. Well, it was almost okay in the end. So I always tighten this one first. Now I find on these new pipes, Jesus Christ, I find them tight. And I fitted a new one on another Ferguson 20 diesel a while back as well, and it was the same thing. It's like the threads are just very, very slightly off. They are savage. And because this is the first time it's going on this pipe as well, it nearly has to adapt itself, fight you the whole way. So I'll finish tightening that up, and we'll go around the other side and fit the other banjo bolt, and that's the job done. Okay, just the banjo bolt, a bit dark around here, so it's more light the other side, of course. And it should be easy enough to fit. I find when you fit anything different on these engines, it can just mean a little bit of a difference. Once you get them started at all, it's grand. Tighten them up, 7/8 spanner. Keep your hand on the pipe, make sure it doesn't go spinning with it. There we are. That should be it. So there we are, just a matter of starting it and adjusting the length of that rod so that we get the dampening that we want done. I want to fit this cover now next. I just cleaned the back. I might just clear coat that because I like the little brass rivets. And then we're going to have a play around with this. Just going to fit him and see if it starts any different, or we'll measure how far that pin is in compared to that, because this is adjustable, and we'll just see how far off we were on our own one, if we were far off at all. So that'll be the next two little jobs. Okay, nice easy job. We had it off lately. Screwdriver is one that was broken, and I've just ground it on the bench grinder, and it's not ideal. My stubby screwdriver went somewhere there, I can't see it. Just needs a better grinding. Wider. Is that the catch? Oh, yeah. Actually the gasket that's caught. Yeah. Now we can use this gasket for a while and see. Very easy to swap it if we have to. So this was banana shaped out the other way like this. So I just tapped it in the other way so it gets a better grip on it. And it can straighten itself out when these pull it. That's going to be the idea there. So we'll give We'll take this off again, give it a bit of a clean up, get a bit of metal polish on that, and then just give it a clear coat. I like the metal in it. Nice contrast. And that should pull it in nice and straight now. Did a bit of work on the heads of these screws as well. They were a little bit damaged, so we deepened the slot and then cleaned them up with a round file and then polished them with the wire brush and the drill, and they do look a lot better. So that should not too tight, I don't think. That should tidy up nicely. It's a pity that this one is so in damage with the shot blaster, but there is, the number is still on it. 4A60512, big long one. So we'll compare that with the one that's on the other pump. So that is that. Just better condition, and as I said, that the actual little plate on it there isn't damaged. Sometimes taking this one out, you have to take out that screw, so we'll leave that for just now. Take that out with a kind of snouty pliers, I find, is what you need there. So mightn't be able to put the new one in because they're on the tamper-proof kind of lads there. So we might have to wait for another time to put that in. I have a feeling we will. They are the same size bolts, so yeah, it will get caught. Just the position of the pump and the timing and all of that have it that way. But no, I think we're after improving things nicely there. So it's just nice casting and it's not damaged. You can still see a bit of the damage on this part here. So if we want to be real fussy, we can take this part off the pump. I didn't actually only realise now that it's damaged as well, but that's only a small bit. And if we really want to, we can swap over that. But I think, to be honest, I have a feeling I'm going to have that other pump for a while anyway, so I'll have plenty of time to make my mind up. But for now, at least, I'm happy, and this isn't too badly worn. There's a small bit in it, but it's not going to affect the running of it all. And it's better than the one that was on it that had a little bit of bodgery done to it, but I'd say at the same time it probably did, and probably could have stopped a bit of air getting sucked. It's full of grease, so but it's not very worn in fairness. So yeah, it's a very, very usable part that yet. So we will fit that back onto this pump when we get that, when we decide what we're going to do with it. In an ideal world, I'd like to buy a rebuild kit and rebuild it myself and then just send it for calibration. I think that would be a lovely project. But the main thing is we have it. We have all the parts there for it, and if we're looking for something to do one of the days, we most certainly will consider doing that. But on the gold belly videos, I just was working on the thermostat housing, so I'm sure if you're following the videos, you've probably seen that as well. But no, I do like to try and keep up a little bit of momentum on the 20 diesel as well. There's plenty more things coming as well, like another fuel filter here I've got, and I finally got the pipe that runs in behind. It's an S-shaped pipe, so I will be doing a bit of work on that as well one of the days. It's over here. It's hard to get, you can't buy them new, and it's a pipe that's specific to the lift pump model, the primer pump model, tractors only. I think it's this here, because these have to run in series, not parallel. The gravity feed earlier ones were parallel, so I don't know how good that pipe is. The more I look at it now, it's fairly well pitted. Yeah, but it looks good from that side anyway. But look, we will pull that off, see is it clear. If it is, sure, we'll work it. We'll try and do something. Try and get them hitched up, and that's another day's work. We have another fuel filter housing there as well that we've picked up, so there. So we definitely won't be stuck for that job. Just going to be a matter of rerouting, I think. Let me see now what we have to do. This pipe here is going to the back there. It'll have to stretch over to here. So that'll fill up that gap, and of course long-term plan is to get the auxiliary fuel tank in there, but we have to get the key start out of there, which is very easy to do, but what's hard to do is getting the gear stick working, because this brass little button you push in with your routine with your ankle is fairly well seized. So anyway, that's just the long-term goals, but we do want to keep a bit of momentum up. So we're going to leave it there for this video. Just going to be short little one on that. If I go at this here, I'll record it. The reason why I wanted to fit this was because I know it has been most likely not tampered with, but then I'd have to cut all that off and take out them bolts, and that kind of defeats the purpose. But look, we have it, that's the main thing. So we'll leave it there for this evening, and we'll catch you at the next one. I have this off again. I just want to polish this up a little bit. I was like, you know what, no time like the present and all of that, so just a little kind of a polishing pad on the Dremel here. See if it helps. Sometimes you're better off rubbing it into the pad itself, otherwise it just throws it all over the place. This is very gentle as well, like it's not hard, coarse or hard on the aluminium there at all, and you can give the whole eye one to just polish it up. I like the metal of it. I like the contrast between the brass rivets and the kind of aluminium plate. And these screws heads weren't great as well, so I could do a bit of work on them with a file, and now let's give them a little polish up here. I may as well. Never going to see metal like this again, so why not? Let's polish this up a little bit and get a bit of clear coat on it. I am waiting for this to die. The bearings are shagged, and I must actually take it apart and put some of the heavy grease into it there. Maybe that will help. I have tried putting grease down into it. Look, we'll get a new one. We need them. We need one in here the whole time. Even the metal in this cover, like, is savage. It's beautiful. So that'll just, you see, it does clean it up nice without wearing away the text. So yeah, that is, for me, if you ask me anyway, that's the thing to do. You know, it's just like the rocker cover, you know. I remember I actually got another rocker cover, and I actually went and I polished it up at one point. Now it's gotten a little bit off it there now, and I thought the reason why I liked it as well was this Standard Motor Company Limited. That badge was very clear on it, and this valve clearance was clear, and the drill slipped and whoop took the black off, because it just says valve clearance, you know, exhaust. What was it, 12 or something like that? Oh, valve clearance 12 tau. Well, I thought this was nice, you know. But yeah, look, it's one of them things I said I'd just polish it up, show off the material. That's it. So yeah, I suppose fit it, and then I'm just going to go fairly roughly around it with a bit of clear varnish. Now I know I can say clear varnish, it always ends up looking a bit goldy, but I like that because I find it makes it look a little bit more vintage. And that's what I do, you know, all the spanners and stuff on the wall there, I kind of use it on them. I find it just leaves a nice finish on it, nice vintage look. So we had a screwdriver to put that on there. So yeah, these do get banana shaped. So I usually bend them back the other way, and then when you tighten them up, then it flattens them out a little bit. So we're not even going to change the gasket on that, it'll be fine. And these do not need to be on tight. And it's important as well, I used to put sealing washers in behind these. It's like a crankcase breather, I suppose. This is like a mini engine in itself, so with the plungers going up and down, it's, you know, probably a little bit of air has to escape through there, otherwise it starts going into here. There is a hole in there, and it can push in the oil and stuff. So, you know, important, I suppose, not to be overdoing it there, trying to seal everything up. Lovely. So yeah, as I was saying about this, to get this out, you have to take out the screws because it hits that casting, right? So I was, you know, I like to fit that because I have a feeling that, as I said, it's not after being tampered with. But all I have to do is take the measurement off that, and this is basically the same. It's just 1 mil out. So, but it's 1 mil more richer for starting, so it'll be grand. But again, I do like all the little touches, and I appreciate how well that copper wire was twisted, how neat it was. They're the little things that I like on there. Another thing that's interesting here is the material of this is brass, whereas this is actually a kind of an alloy. It's different. So I suppose they probably changed a little bit over the years. Mind you, the engine this came off was 1954, same as that anyway. So, but yeah, look, that is it. We've put back on our few bits. I suppose we can start it and just adjust our damper here. I keep forgetting the proper name for this. All I know is that it's designed just to keep the tick over level, and once you rev it, then it actually comes out of play. The cam comes back out of the way, and it allows the engine to govern properly. So what I'll do is I'll just move tools back out of the way. There's my stubby bloody plier screwdriver that I was looking for, and we'll try it for a start, and we'll just see if it is a little bit up and down on the revs, and if it is, we'll bring it over on the camera then and adjust it all out of it. Okay, so maximum fuel pressed, out of the gear, little bit of revs. Okay, so that's nice and level. It doesn't actually need to be adjusted. I never found this engine really needed that to be adjusted anyway. But on the 20 diesel I was working on there for Christmas, that had to be adjusted. It was all over the place, up and down and stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that. Lovely. Now by rights, what you do then is you tighten up the lock nut in there behind it. You tighten him up, again that. But what I prefer to do at the moment is just make sure that it's not needed. But if we lengthen that a little bit, you can see that it doesn't actually make any difference. But I do like to thread it in a little bit. But you can hear it's affecting the revs there. So that's not what we want. We want our tick over to be low, like. This is not designed to adjust your tick over. That's done up on the throttle venturi or the body. So you got to make sure that at least is not affecting the tick over. Or if you pull it back, it will push the rack forward. Loosen it off a little bit and make sure it's not affected. As you can see, the tick over is going down when we loosen that, but it's still not hunting. Now it's starting to hunt. So we'll just take that out of it, adjust it in a little bit. A little bit up and down still. About there is right. So, in an ideal world, what you do is grab a hold of him with your pliers and start tightening him in. So that's what I'm going to do. So a 3/8 spanner, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, one of the few 3/8 size on this. Maybe we mightn't get in with this at all. Our snouty pliers will be the one we need, I think. And this is one. I'm going to get a shot of WD-40 as well. It's one of them things you want to keep lubricated, because you don't have savage amount of room in there, and if you go messing around here too much, you end up pushing that off the little ball joint there. So grab them with the snouty, and we have to tighten a good bit. So, just like anything, there's a bit of paint on the threads or anything like that. You just do not have much space in here for using your spanner. So this could be a little bit tighter than I think, because it used to be hand tight. I suppose. Oh yeah, that's fairly bloody tight on it. Might have to get a vice grips on it, but we will get it. Yeah, it's turning away there, and that's probably after affecting the tick over as well. We do want a low tick over for engine braking as well, and again, it's going to be hard to get a vice grips in there. See if we push it forward, will it make life easier? Yeah, pull down our cap here. Yeah, we want to go breaking fuel pipes. Yeah, it's going to be hard enough. I know once I get that nut going, it will be grand. If I try a different, wider pliers, we might be in business. It's just one of them things. It is better, because to be honest with you, what happens is you end up wearing the threads when it's just sitting on it loose. It ends up getting very loose in that lad. As I said, this is just one of them things that's left sitting there for a while, and around here, winter and stuff, and damp, and a bit of paint on the threads, and Jesus, I tell you, it's after stiffening up a little bit. No, we'll have to approach that a different way, but just sort of getting a bit of a grip. As it used to be hand tight. Well, it's no big deal anyway. But as I said, it's just a little bit loose in there, if you see. I don't want it, a bit of forward and back. I don't really want it wearing those threads anymore. So, what can we do? If we could get our vice grips in, I'll get vice grips, we'd be away, I'd say. But I don't think we're going to go getting it in. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get a vice grips in there, do we, Chloe? So we'll give it full rev and it'll push forward a bit more. It's crazy just how leaving a part like that, loose like that, can for a little while all of a sudden cause it to become so stiff. I think we're winning it there. It's only a matter of getting started, and it'll fly. Space is a little bit on the limited side. Oh man, get a grip on it. We are going in at a bit of an angle. I did get a turn on it there. Wow. Oh, so I'll come back when I have that moving and we'll see then how it looks. Okay, so yeah, a little bit tight. We just took off the end, the back of the pump there anyway. I don't like using vice grips and putting on snouty pliers onto nice nuts. Like, this is Imperial 3/8, so that's what we need to use to loosen it and to tighten it. So it's just been a little bit sitting there a bit too long. By rights I should get the Dremel now and just tidy up them threads a bit, but we'll run this forward and back a few times and it'll be grand. Well, as I said, not tightening it up does wear the threads in this and on the threaded rod, and these are not something you can buy new. So we need to get this adjusted and tightened up properly so that it stops that moving forward and back, widening threads and wearing threads and all of that. We're trying to put back as much original parts onto this tractor because there was a lot of homemade throttle rods on this when I got it first. I knew over the years I'd be able to sort them slowly, and we had to fit one of these throttle rods to that other Ferguson 20 diesel I was working on, because it was the one that was on it wasn't adjustable. It was completely seized solid, so just didn't want to damage that lovely cap. I give that a metal polish every now and again. Right, so anyway, it's no harm taking this off because I forgot to put a bit of grease in around there. You know, that's important as well to help seal in case it wants to draw air there. So I get that lined up again. There we are. Do it right. But it's great to have all of these nuts and bolts loosened, because that's all it is at the end of the day. Nuts and bolts, a lot of it is. Clean up the threads, grease them up, put them back on, put the right ones back on. I'm a great believer in a wire brush and a drill. Clean them all up. Now we can try this one more time and see if we need to adjust or not. Apologies, didn't realise it was route full. So if that is, well, we'll lengthen it first and see. That is affecting the thick over there. Hear it hunting, we'll bring it back in. About there is about right, I think. Hey, that's about right. Also don't want this to twist because it is starting to twist off the ball there. Yeah, that's all right. You can paint a bit around that as well. In this case, there's a tiny, tiny leak. Shouldn't be a leak, no. Hey, that's nice and level. And a bit of clear coat. Why not? Preserve it a little bit anyway. To be honest with you, a lot of this could do with a bit of clear coat. Polish up with the drill. Show off the material that's in it. At least that'll stop that nice plate there from oxidizing a bit. And them little bolts look a lot better as well. So the likes of that there now, I'll very quickly give him a clean up in the vise. We'll give him a bit of clear coat as well. Let's show off the nice metal as well. So I'll come back when I've that done. Okay, so let's give him a blow out the air gun as well. Very important that he's clear, so that he's not, so he's blocked. So he's not blocked, and the diaphragm then can move forward and back and govern the engine as needed. So that's okay. A little bit of clear coat on that. Not good painting these, I don't think, anyway. You don't want paint getting into the holes underneath them and all of that. Blacking them up, polish them up, bit of clear coat, show off that lovely material. There is a good chance I will replace this housing as well with the other one sometime, but that's easy done if we're looking for something to do sometime. Yeah, that's good. And every now and again as well, what I did with this sticker, because I found it was very standout when it was fitted, I just kind of vintaged it, made it look a little bit more vintage. And what I do is just give it a clear coat then every now and again. It just stops it peeling off and it protects it. So I just kind of dulled it a little bit, and a little bit of this over it then, just to give it that kind of more vintage look. And it just protects it then as well, because these fade in the sun and all that, so I didn't want it to look, it was very, very bright and stand out. So that kind of stuff helps it just kind of blend in a little bit more. Another quick job I've done on the gold belly is just fitted on a radiator overflow pipe. So after you fill a radiator, after it was empty, there's a lot of air in the system, and as it goes up to temperature and the thermostat hose opens, it belches out a lot. And if you don't have that pipe attached and it goes in behind the cowling there, there's two brackets, so you can see one bracket down just there, and then the other one is up under the cowl in there. You end up getting a lot of water thrown down there, and you're trying to see if your radiator is leaking, and that then of course makes it a lot harder because it's going to splash out a load of water out there. So you route it then down here. This is not the pipe that came with the radiator, they lost it, and they gave me this, so I wasn't very impressed with that because there was a different pipe on it. But look, it has one on it now. I have yet to get this up to temperature since I got the radiator on it refitted. So yeah, one of them things I suppose you could say. Yeah, so just wanted to get that on so I can at least get it up to temperature now, and it can spill out its water into a bucket. Okay, I just want to see what's happening here. We're very bloody tight there, aren't we? I wonder was that moved a little bit. So we'll just tighten down our bonnet here. Jesus Christ, there's always something, isn't there? Because that'll definitely wear through that pipe. I'm going to tighten down the bonnet here with my little latch and see what's going on. Jesus, there's been an awful lot of messing. That is fairly bloody tight there, and it wasn't before. That is going to... So they must have... Yeah. I noticed that there now. I said, you know what, that's fairly bloody tight. I have a feeling over time that will definitely wear through that. So it's hard to get good help, as they say. It's hard to get. It was hard enough to get that shroud on as well. I have a video trying to fit that. My God, I nearly gave himself a hernia. Things were not lining up at all. So I don't know, what do you do? There is a cutout in the bonnet for that pipe, but we'll just lift it up again and see. That's not something now, if you brought it down the road and that had wore through, it's not something. Yeah, you can even see it from lifting the pipe there when you lift up the bonnet. I was thinking, alright, oh yeah, my God. So where does the pipe start? Jesus, it's not ideal, lads, is it? It's after chewing right through the bloody thing. And this yoke was barely started. It was only started once and this was fitted. I'm trying to figure out where the end of the pipe is. It's there, so worst case scenario we could maybe move the jubilee up a bit, as much as that's only going to catch it more. The pipe starts just above my thumb there. But that is far from ideal, isn't it? They must have twisted things a little bit there when they were fitting it. And you can see that it's rubbing away there as well. The whole lot now is... The whole lot is far from ideal now. So, you know yourself, you send off a radiator with a very, very, very slight weep in it, and you get it back with everything not lining up. You can actually see it's bending the pipe. I wouldn't be surprised if it'll actually break that pipe eventually. Okay, so maybe what I need to do is move that radiator over ever so slightly, and I have plenty of room there with the fan. It might involve a bit of filing. I think that's what we're going to have to do to save that pipe, or whatever pipe is going to be on there. So there is always something, isn't there? Radiator's off. Yes, this video was on the 20 diesel, but we just ran into, I suppose, this issue after we tried fitting the overflow on the radiator. So it's in the boot of the car. It'll be going back to the lads tomorrow. I was looking at my spares radiator here, and that bottom pipe isn't really angled out that much as it is on the reconditioned one. So they obviously had to twist that a little bit, and that's fair enough. But we'll just get them to twist it inwards. And Might need a new bottom hose as well, so I'll put in an order for one of them the next time I'm ordering parts. So yeah, look, I suppose it's a small thing. I could go and start filing these slots to get the radiator to move over to the far side, but then I think with vibrations it could easily move back, so no. And the bonnet does have a fairly sharp edge on it there for the radiator pipe there, and it definitely would just cut through it sometime when you wouldn't want it to do it, and you'd end up in a bit of bother. So yeah, that's what we'll do, and sure, look, we might just put up a video of fitting it all back together, hopefully, when it gets sorted. We're done in that radiator shop for this bottom hose pipe here on the 20 diesel. You can see it's a bit messy at the bottom there, and that was a new pipe and it was catching the front axle, so he had to do a bit of work on that for me, and he did it, so I'm sure he'll get that done. But anyway, this video obviously was about this, not the gold belly, but it's a good thing we spotted that. So yeah, there's my few little bits done, and we'll be able to use the bits taken off this on the other pump. So I'm going to leave it there for this evening, and we'll catch you very soon.